to make that beautiful painting, the first thing you need to do is prep your paper. If you are not using a watercolor block that's attached on all sides, I suggest taping down your paper. This is about 5 by 7 inches. You don't need a lot of colors for this. You could really get away with just a blue, a red or pink, and a yellow, and you could have a successful painting. The one thing that you will need for this painting is patience, because you have to let each layer really, really get dry before you paint the next, or you will be sorry. I have many, many more colors than just red, yellow, and blue. I think I'm going to use my, I believe it's called Permanent Rose. I'm going to use my Permanent Rose color, but I am going to water it down. And then I'm going to use my Naples Yellow. And I will show you what I'm going to do. I'm going to start by just grabbing some Naples Yellow. Oh, my bleed-proof white just fell over. I'm just going to grab that color. It's just got a little bit of water added to it. And I'm going to make some wide brush strokes across the top. I am using my size 12 Princeton Heritage brush. I love those. They are my favorite. I just got some brand new ones. Have I opened them yet? No. Will I soon? Yes. I don't want this to be too dark a color. So I'm going to kind of go back and forth a bit and let some of the color go up there. And now I'm going to grab just that watered down pink. I'm going to start about here. And I do want it to be watered down. I don't know what that is. That could be anything. What I just picked up there. That might be a little too bold. That's okay. We'll just add more water. And I'm going to go right up into the yellow because I want that to blend. And then go down. Blend, 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 blend. Now, we are going to be doing some very, very, very thin layers of watercolor paint. So you will actually be able to see the pink through the layers, the back layers of Blue Ridge or whatever kind of mountains you want to call these. So it is important that you fade the pink down so that there is not a stark line that you will see behind your mountains. So you are going for an effect like this, and I will show you if you have a stark pink line such as this. This was one of my practice runs. It'll be really obvious. You can see this blob of pink here. So you really want this very smooth transition down into the white. Okay, now you have to let this dry completely. If you are in a hurry, which I don't suggest, you could use a hairdryer or put it out in the sun. Otherwise, do something to get it to speed up. And the one other thing that I wanted to mention was, I save, every time I buy a watercolor block, I save these boards. And then that way, if I'm painting on a smaller painting that I have taped down, I can pick this up, go put it somewhere else, and work on another painting at the same time. And then I don't feel so pressured to get this one to dry. So I'll see you soon. We are back. This is now completely dry. And now we are going to start layering on the mountains, which they get lighter and lighter the farther back you look. The best thing to do here is you can make your mountains purple. You can make them green. You can make them blue. I would pick a color or two colors that you will consistently mix together to make your mountains, and then just stick with the color, and it will become more and more saturated as you go. I'm going to stick with what I was doing was a little bit of this Prussian blue, which almost has a slight green tinge to it, and a little bit of cerulean, just kind of makes like a good medium blue. But for the way back layers, I'm grabbing some water, just mixing it in to lighten this up, because in the way back, we're going to want it light. Now, once you lighten your color, be sure to take your brush and dry it off. You can't see me doing it. I'm over here on my towel, wiping it off. You want to dip your dry brush into that color that you have mixed that already has a lot of water in it. If you want to practice ahead of time, so I live in the Blue Ridge Mountains, I make mountains all the time. So it comes pretty naturally to me to just make a mountain shape. If you would like to practice a few of them ahead of time, go for it. But when you're ready, you're going to start these mountains up here so that some of the pink is in them. And you can just do straight across over and over. You could do some that go this way and then come back over and cross them this way. That's all entirely up to you. I don't have a plan. I didn't draw this out. I'm just gonna kind of go and do what is best. It still feels like it has a little too much water to me, but we're gonna try to make it work. I really should just open a new pack of brushes since I have them. I like to outline the top because I want it to have a slightly darker top line. And I'm just going in and tapping in a tiniest bit of Prussian blue. And then I'm going to wash my brush off, dry it off a little bit, dip it in a tiny bit of water, and you will just draw down with either clean water from your, my brain stops working. The language centers in my brain don't work when I'm painting. Get some clean water on your brush. Again, with the drawing of the color down, you don't want there to be a hard line of color because layer after layer, it's going to be somewhat see-through. So you don't want to have like a hard layer of color just stopping. I'm adding in a tiny bit more just to draw this down a bit more. I just picked up a little bit over here on my palette, doing a little bit more. And you can see the pink through that as we intended. And I'm gonna just try to fade that out a bit more because I don't want any lines to come through in my painting. All right, time to be patient again and let this dry completely. Time for the next layer. I'm going to use the same mixture I was using before. I don't want to make it too dark. Okay, I'm adding a teeny bit of Prussian blue. So I'm making it slightly darker, but I want all the ones in the back to be very, very chill. I think I want there to be some sort of like crisscross mountain thing. Those were some words. Those were some words that I just came up with. Where would the other one go though? These are the questions. You could be one of those people who sketches this out ahead of time. That might be smart. Okay, here's what I'm thinking. I'll stick one in here after it's dry, and then I'll do one here. Okay, that's my plan. So there's the top ridge. I've washed off my brush. I have clean water, or slightly bluish paint water on my size 6 round brush here. Let me pull this down. I'll just kind of wisp that out. And if it shows through, no big deal. All right. Must let it dry now. Now that this is completely dry, you are going to be adding an even darker layer up close. Try to use a round brush with a good point because you're going to be making the shapes of some trees in the foreground. This particular layer is going to be mostly just Prussian blue, and I've loaded quite a bit of pigment on to my brush. So I'm just going to start making some strokes down to indicate trees. And I also know that I'm going to put one more layer in front. So I'm actually going to leave some white space for that final layer because I'm doing this one so dark that I don't want to run into trouble putting the final layer over this layer. So watch and enjoy. It's time for the final layer. This one is going to have some of that Prussian blue and some dark green in it. And this is going to be even closer. So the trees are going to be even larger and closer in the foreground. And I kind of change my technique halfway through. I would recommend just drawing some straight up and down lines and then doing some sort of back and forth motions to create the shape of the needles. I started out just doing kind of a back and forth motion. That works too. I was just thinking about the trees that we actually have here in Western North Carolina. And they kind of have more like back and forth pine. No, they're hemlocks. I don't know. Don't quote me on any of this. I am just doing this as it comes out of me. So I also eventually broke out my brand new size 2 round Princeton Heritage brush. They are my favorite brushes. I just got new ones. You kind of just don't notice how worn down and used your brushes are if you're painting all the time. And then when you get new ones, you're like, whoa, this is amazing. So you will see me switch over to that in a moment. And then I will be back for the final reveal. So here's where I have switched over to my beautiful pointy size 2 brush. I had been painting with a size 4, so this one's really small. It's really nice when you're painting a forest like this, painting evergreens, to go back in with a slightly darker color or just more of the same color but with more pigment on your brush to add a few different kind of layers of colors and just dot some color in. And having this really thin brush is also allowing me to make some really fine points, and then I'm kind of painting back and forth horizontally to make those hemlock looking branches. And yep, see, there you go. And then when I'm all done, you can see me take take the tape off and reveal the final painting. And if you painted along with me, I would love to see what you created. This is a pretty simple, fun project, and I love the way the sunset colors show through on those top layers of mountains. Thanks for being here.